we're waiting, let me just give you guys some quick updates. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Um, lost my mouse there for a minute. Let me get mine off. I'll give you a quick update on education for those of you that are hearing and listening. It's important to know that we've already signed up for our 2 weeks of virtual CE, almost upwards of 500 people. We've only got slots for 1,200, and that's 1,200 slots, really 600 people if you're going to take 7 hours of 3.5-hour classes. So if you haven't signed up, you need to sign up right away. We're watching, I'm watching for Congresswoman Miller. I'm out of the corner of my eye, so if you see me, probably we lost Brad, Amy, so watch for him to get back in. He was concerned he didn't have a good-looking virtual background, so he was trying to get one. While we wait for Congresswoman Miller, sorry, I keep watching to see if they sign in, if she signs in, because we had a whole plan. I don't want to blow her plan. Is the way to do things. So why don't we wait for Jeannie Astor in the Q&A? Do you go to our website? There's a link to sign up there. You'll get a confirmation for the classes that are still available. We had 12 classes, 6 are shut down now. There's still 6 classes open, so it was even popular than we thought it was, more popular than we thought it would be. So there's Ted. Ted, we've got a new participant this week, Ted Ranson, and another new one, Kim Donahue from SBA, from the SBA, but they asked for Congresswoman Miller asked for us to wait till she gets on to let Kim talk, so that's why I'm kind of stumbling and stalling around. Jerry, do you have anything you want to talk about real quick while we're waiting from the Real Estate Commission? Wait a minute, you need unmuted there.
Okay, yeah, I can go ahead and give my update real quick. I don't have much today. 2 things really. First of all, the renewal for your licenses starts on Friday at 12:01 a.m. Been in contact with our service provider for our online systems, and it looks like everything's set to go. So as soon as you guys would like to jump on after Friday, you're welcome to do so. I know a lot of you are still waiting to get your CE done, but we're ready to go on our end. So once your CE is finished, you can go in and do your renewals. The only other thing I have this week is talk a little bit about reopening of the test centers. We did find out earlier this week that the test centers in Bridgeport, Hagerstown, Maryland, and Cambridge, Ohio will be opening up for limited testing on Friday. And by limited testing, it depends on the size of the office there that they're going to be using to test in. But we're looking at probably no more than 2 or 3 people at a time testing, mainly because they have to sanitize everything each time it's used and just follow certain protocols. The Dunbar Center will be opening on May 3rd, which is Monday. Or actually, that's Sunday, I believe. And then Beckley will be opening on May 23rd. The only 2 we don't have any status on yet are Fairmont and Pittsburgh. And we're not really sure what's going on with those 2 sites. They've just not given us any dates for opening them up. But we're hoping that they will be open around the same time that Beckley opens. And that's pretty much it for me, Ray, and I'll take questions if anybody has anything.
Okay. Any questions for Jerry about renewals or testing or real estate questions in general? I'm not being rude. I'm texting with Congresswoman Miller's folks as we speak. She said to go ahead, Kim, if you can hear us. She said to go ahead and start with you, and then we'll bring her in as soon as she connects.
Okay, that's great. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's great. Just, I'm not going to bore you with the weeds or anything. Just wanted to give you a really quick overview of what's happening with respect to the payroll protection program. It resumed for round 2 on Monday at 10:30. As you may know, it is for businesses, including sole proprietors and partnerships. that are small businesses as well as 501c3 nonprofits. And you actually apply for the PPP through the lender of your choice. Now, two things are different about this round. Number one is that to ensure that the loans are limited to eligible borrowers, the SBA is going to review all loans in excess of $2 million. So the outside cap is 10 for these programs, but anything over 2, there's going to have an additional review step. We've also been told that SBA's instituted what they're calling a controlled flow approach, and that basically limits the number of applications that can go through in an hour. And what that's supposed to do is prevent a system crash. That's not something that we want to see. So they've instituted that as well. I've just found out about 30 minutes ago as well that they're piloting a project just for today. So starting at 4 p.m. today through midnight, SBA systems are only going to accept loans from small lending institutions. And those are defined that those with assets of less than $1 billion. So from 4 p.m. until midnight, only those smaller lending institutions are going to be able to get through the system. And then, of course, starting at midnight and tomorrow on, they'll be able to submit applications just as they normally did. If you or anyone you know applied for an economic injury disaster loan through the SBA portal, that has been temporarily closed. As soon as we get that back up, we are going to let folks know. Economic injury disaster loan, unlike PPP, which is really just for payroll and a few other side things like rent, the economic injury disaster loan can be used for all of your working capital needs. And so we have, but unfortunately that's, on hold for just a moment. However, if you already have that application in place, you're in good standing because work is still continuing on those. A quick trick, if you want to check on your status, you can actually call the Office of Disaster Assistance. It's a customer service line, and I normally hate to do this, but at 800-659-295, the trick is to ask for a Tier 2 operator. It's the Tier 2 operators that have the security clearance so that they can go in and double check the status of your application. Locally, SBA, the district office, we're doing overviews and Q&As on both PPP and EIDL. We've been doing them twice a day. Starting tomorrow, it's going to be once a day at 2 o'clock. And you can find out more about that at sba.gov/WV. And we're going to start some additional webinars shortly, including, for folks that are going through this and it's impacting their credit. So how can we provide information to get your credit score back where it needs to be? There's also a webinar on how COVID-19 has changed consumer demands out there for small businesses. I'd also note that our resource partner, the West Virginia Small Business Development Center, they're also hosting some new webinars, including search engine optimization. So be sure to check those out as well at wvsbdc.com. And those are basically the updates that I have.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Kim, questions are popping up. One, could you repeat the 800 number, please?
Yes, that is 1-800-659-2955. As a matter of fact, let me double check that. Yeah, 2955.
Okay, and for the PPP, would a business that started later in the year or expanded their workforce later in the year have a way to calculate their payroll other than the 2019 fourth quarter 940, 941? Some lenders are only using those to underwrite the applications.
That's what we've heard. And it really is dependent on the lender, but I'm wondering if they couldn't look at the 941 for that first quarter, because new businesses are allowed to participate in this. So if you've only been in business like since January, for example, you're allowed to use those calculations. So whatever proof you need. The PPP was written very broadly so that as many small businesses as possible, but particularly sole proprietors and partnerships can get in on this. If you'll give me some, I can't see the chat right now, I apologize, but you can email me at kimberly.donahue@sba.gov, and I'll see what I can do to explore that a little better.
Okay, repeat that one more time, Kimberly.
It's Kimberly, KIMBERLY .Donahue, DONAHUE, @sba.gov.
All right, so email any questions or anything that she can help you with. Let's see, Congresswoman Miller, are you on there now?
Yes, I am.
There we go.
I've never had this kind of trouble before getting on Zoom, but it just kept kicking me off and telling me I was invalid.
Well, we know you're certainly not, so welcome. I'll go ahead and give you the floor now.
Well, since I missed the first 12 minutes of the meeting, I just want to thank everyone for being on the call. My office has been working 24/7. Really, since this started in January, we've been doing everything we can to make things easier for people in West Virginia. I mean, I started out calling the superintendents of the schools. I called the senior centers, had conference calls with healthcare workers, just, going through the very basics in the beginning about please don't panic, and then giving them all the tips we learned. And then as we have voted each tranche of money in, you all know very well, because you have the pulse of business. What you do, you know exactly what's going on everywhere. And I describe it as what it was like when you were in high school and the science teacher gave you a little ball of quicksilver, as they used to call it, mercury, and how you couldn't ever get it. It just rolled all over. And that is what we were dealing with every day. The details would change and the suggestions would change. And so, of course, when we voted in the money, and everybody immediately went after doing the PPPs, and they were concerned about the smaller banks, and it was the community banks that came through so well and so fast for everyone. And we could see that the money was going to run out and couldn't deal with the politics. And why people think there should be politics in an emergency just blows my mind. But eventually we were able to lay in this last bit of money, which I'm sure you all have, you understand that it's $310 billion for PPP loans, $60 billion for the EIDL, and $75 billion for the hospital funding, which, in our communities, the hospitals are really, really struggling. And we already know that medical services should be essential. But we've learned these things. Just got a text from Kelly, and plus the $25 billion for COVID testing. And so we've kind of, as Americans do, we've all come together to do wonderful things, and having factories change what they do, and they're making things for the N95 masks, and it's phenomenal what we've done to step up. But again, because we've never been through this before, we've been sort of creating the rules. And my staff has been helping people talk to the SBA, helping them with whatever information they needed, and we certainly will. I've got a wonderful staff, and they are working it. So there are Kim may have talked about the other ways that you can also get money besides the banks, since I missed her talk. And Kim is awesome. She really knows what she's doing. But she mentioned PayPal and QuickBooks and Square and other online type of lender options if people are struggling. So I went to Washington last week, stayed 2 nights, and 5 people on my flight. It really was kind of amazing. And we voted in alphabetical groups and kept our distance from everybody to get this last batch of money in. Business wants continuity. You want to know what the rules are. You want to know how to go about your business. And so this has been so difficult for you all, and a little bit scary as well, because people are going, what am I going to do? What if, what if? So we're doing everything from our end to help you all. And I'd love to have questions or any feedback from you. So how are you doing, Ray?
I'm doing great. What are you guys going to do about, I've been watching some of the news, what are you guys going to do about voting?
We are going to be back a week from Monday. So I think we will probably be wearing masks. And there were some guys that didn't even this week. I guess it's last week now. The days are just running together. We'll keep social distancing. My staff is going to work remotely for at least another week after that in order to stay safe. But there's still much information out there. I was talking to a doctor from Connecticut about New York, and she said, that strain really came from Europe. So, it's mutating. It's just something we have not dealt with before, and we're going to play woulda, coulda, shoulda a lot, I'm sure.
Any other questions for the Congresswoman or Kim from SBA?
It's quiet.
Ray, this is Jeff.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Hello, Congresswoman Miller.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We appreciate all you're doing.
Well, thank you.
I mentioned to Senator Capito when she was on with us a few weeks ago that a big concern I think that a lot of us have in our industry is the what is to come here in the coming months, because we're not like restaurateurs and other type of industries that get paid instantly. Our situation is what's going to happen in May and June and July, because we are a lot of times on 30, 60, 90-day delays in feeling the repercussions of something like this. So there will be some financial burdens for our industry coming in the next 30, 60, and 90 days for sure.
Well, I know that it's going to be a lot tighter. I think people have held off on putting their houses on the market. I'm just hoping you have this huge rush and that the banks will be able to help you. But honestly, I don't know, because it's new territory. But if indeed this is happening, you have to let us know so that we can let the powers that be know this is what's happening at this particular time and we need help. Most business people also don't want to spend money they don't have. And so consequently, when we're voting in trillions of dollars, guess whose pocket that really comes out of? It's yours and mine. So, we have to be diligent about what we do in order to meet people's needs, because we wanted to make sure people had food. We wanted to make sure they had health care. We wanted to make sure that your employees could stay employed. You all are a little more unique. I know from my own family business that I felt very lucky that all my renters paid me last month. It's a big question mark. So all you all out in Wayne County, you guys are truthfully, so I'll tell you. All I can do is say, let me know what's happening. It's important. I know Ray won't hesitate to call, and I hope anybody on the line won't hesitate to call, because that's what we're here to do. We're in this thing together, and we want the economy to be kickstart immediately. I know even some of my office staff in D.C. who are looking at houses said there's just nothing there right now. People are holding tight, trying to see what's out there. So as far as mortgages and the rest, it's going to be new territory.
It's we've watched a lot of our folks. We've got lenders on here, and of course members, and it's like you said, everything's new. It's a new way of adapting. We're fortunate in the sense that our folks as independent contractors, And as businesses themselves, the way you guys have set some of these things up, they can look to the PPP, they can look at SBA loans, or they can look at unemployment, and whichever one works the best for them. So we have a lot more flexibility than a lot of folks do because of the way you guys wrote the legislation. So we're blessed for that.
I will tell you, on our last call, we had Chris Warner from the USDA on, and there are all kinds of loans and different, what's the right word? Different things that are available for you all. So if we need to get Chris Warner on a phone call with you, with USDA, their programs, they've got a lot. And because every city except for one, which is Charleston, supposedly, anything under 50,000 people qualify for these loans. So there's a lot of stuff out there that can be helpful. So we might need to do that. Ken, you were on that call. You still there?
Yes, I am. He specifically mentioned they had additional funding for their business and industrial program. It's sort of like SBA's 504 program, where it's specifically meant for real estate purchases, long-term.
We certainly, I know, Chris, we can get him on here next week if we think that would be helpful. Mark, did you have a question?
I did. Hi, Representative Miller. Thanks for coming on. Hey, from the mortgage lending side of things, there's been a lot of back and forth between industry and the FHFA, the Federal Housing Finance Agency, and it's specifically its director, Mark Calabria. And I don't know if you're familiar with some of those conversations, but per the CARES Act, which allows forbearance without any proof of financial hardship whatsoever, it's put a huge overhang on the industry and providing a lot of uncertainty to lenders and servicers about what happens to loans that go into forbearance per somebody's request, and then the ramifications of the duties of those lenders and servicers specific to the bondholders that hold those loans. So it's provided a lot of consternation over the last 30 days. The Federal Housing Agency, or FHA, and then Ginnie Mae and VA, they've worked out basically a way to provide a conduit for payments for those things to happen. But on the conventional side of things, there's still a lot of uncertainty. Are you familiar with any of those arguments?
I have not heard them. Michael, have you had any comments in your dealings?
We have had a couple of people reach out from a Fannie Mae, Freddie Mae perspective, and I know the Congresswoman legislative staff has looked at that, and I can touch base. The Congresswoman's legislative director is on the call. I think she's an attendee, but we're texting right now, and what we can do is I can get your information offline and reach out directly to you to try to get that specific issue. Was this something you also communicated to Senator Capito's staff?
Well, we just, the industry just, obviously markets don't like uncertainty. And so what we're,
no, they don't.
Part of what the industry is dealing with right now is do we make a loan for the prospect that we're going to basically have an unsaleable asset if there isn't any sort of a conduit or a pay window for loans that enter forbearance? So unlike 2008, where there were thresholds to provide, and you had to be able to prove basically hardship to be able to get forbearance or under the TARP relief plan that they had at the time. This time it is basically just carte blanche. You just say, I have a problem, I can't make my payment, I need to go on forbearance, and that can happen literally on your first payment. And in the industry, in the mortgage industry, if you don't make your first payment, that's called an early payment default, which basically there's a loan completely unsaleable to any secondary market value.
Can you unmute Lauren?
Sure. What's her number?
Her number is 208-559-4923.
Did you get that, Amy? There it is.
Yeah. Hey, this is Lauren, the Congresswoman's Legislative Director. Thank you for keeping us in the loop on this. I know that there's been some talk regarding eviction and forbearance, and the Financial Services Committee is working on this issue as we speak. I'm certainly happy to share your thoughts with them. And if you have other questions, we can see if we can get an answer for you as well.
Great.
We also, Ted, does this fall into what you wanted to talk about since
It
you're out there?
does.
Go ahead, then.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear
All
you.
right, awesome. The thing that concerns us, which actually did come up today, even on our underwriting call, for you as realtors, when you're listing a property for a customer, what we're being told is if that property, if me as a customer, if I put that house in forbearance, it's not going to affect your credit. Under the CARE Act, we are not allowed to make that deemed delinquent on the credit bureau. However, we are being told by Fannie and Freddie that if a loan is in forbearance, we then are not allowed to make that person a loan whose home went into forbearance for 12 months. So what that means is we're really working a lot around refinances, because we have a customer we've actually had customers who applied for the refinance, then went into forbearance mid-application that we've then had to deny because Fannie and Freddie won't take that loan for 12 months. So then what's happening today is we've had customers who listed their home. They're thinking, okay, I've listed my home. I'm going to go into forbearance for 90 days, so I won't have to make my payment during this whole transition. But then if they go to try to buy another house, they can't buy another home for 12 months, is what we're being told by Fannie and Freddie. So you as realtors, when you're looking to list property, you probably need to ask the client or the individual, is this home, are you in forbearance? Because if you are, you can't purchase another home for 12 months. Unless some of the regulations change. So that's just the concerns that we're having and we're running up against now, is because those customers, even though it's not it doesn't show up as a delinquency on their credit bureau. That's true. It doesn't. We're not allowed to. We're not allowed to ask them, are you just have to say, I'm having a financial hardship due to COVID-19, and we immediately put you in forbearance, which is, that's fine. And as we mentioned, we're as a financial institution, we have to make those payments during the time they don't, which is cool. We're not having an issue with that. It's just those customers don't realize the challenges that they're putting themselves in. Does that make sense?
Well, can you explain that to them if they tell you that's what they're thinking about doing? We
do. We are letting them know, but on the purchase side, that we're not allowed to not. How do I put this? We are not allowed to discourage them. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. We're not allowed to discourage them from going into forbearance. So we don't go into great detail about the ramifications of going into forbearance, because to us, they're having challenges. We get that. They're having issues. They're having difficulties. And so, we've been instructed, we can't discourage them from doing that. So the conversations that our Home Savers division is having is, they call in and they say, I have a financial hardship. Whether they do or not is sort of kind of up to them, if they actually do. But I think that's what we're running into.
Well, Lauren can certainly check into that, and I can also talk to Alex Mooney, who is on financial services, to make sure that they are very aware that this is an issue. Because, they'll be back within a week, which, government seems to go very slowly when you want it to go fast. But we have been very fast on this, current situation. So, she can research it immediately and probably get back to you quickly, but I will also make sure that they're aware that this is something that you've come, across, that you're dealing with.
Brad, did you have a question?
No, I think she got it. She answered the question.
No, Brad.
Oh,
not
Brad.
Ted, Brad.
Yeah, I was just curious. I didn't catch all of what you said were the ramifications of going into forbearance. Was it just that you're not eligible for a loan again for the next 12 months?
Yeah,
that's pretty much what he said.
Yeah, the other thing is, And we have options. So after, if you say, okay, I'm going to forbear for 3 months, okay, at the end of that 3-month period, all of those payments actually do come due and payable. We do, however, have options. You can either set that up to pay it for over the next 12 months. You can move it to the end of the term. However, your escrows for insurance and taxes, they still have to be paid. But again, we can do that over the next 12 months, or we can do it, all at one time. That's up to the borrower. So I think the two people don't necessarily understand that your payments aren't forgiven. You do still have to make them. However, we do have options for when you do make those payments, if that makes sense.
I have, and I forgot to mention too, folks, we shut down the chat, so if you have questions, use the Q&A to put your questions in. I've got one. I'm just going to throw this one out because I'm not sure who is best to answer it, so everybody can have a round robin. I'm a sole proprietor as well as a realtor. I have rental property in Morgantown with no students in town. I will have a high vacancy rate at the end of May. I understand that the EID loan will only allow me a $1,000 grant, but I can borrow up to $2 million without review. I am needing a grant to cover expenses such as mortgage, taxes, insurance, utilities, etc. If I get a loan, what can I spend money? I guess that means what can I spend money on?
The P3 loan actually would cover 75% of it has to be used for payroll costs, and that is defined very loosely here because technically sole proprietors or independent contractors don't have technical payroll costs, but think of it in those terms. So how much would you pay yourself? Another 25% then can be used for your interest on your mortgage, rent payments, and utilities.
All right. On rent forbearance, what programs are you working on to help renters make payments that are behind? The situation now has left property owners on the line with mortgages and expenses with the possibility of no rent payments. With the moratorium on evictions until the end of July, followed by a 30-day notice to vacate, will that be amended? And both of these questions, just so you know, came from Morgantown, different people, but we talked about this last week, but when you're in Morgantown, you're in a different world in terms of rental property because everything comes due at the same time of the year. So if you have 100 units, they're all due, and you've got new people ready to move in. Now you can't get the old people out and so forth. So it presents more of a problem for college towns when they have a huge turnover in the same month.
You're right.
Congressman, I'm happy to jump into a few.
Go right ahead.
I wanted to make sure I flagged for you all, especially in Morgantown and just anywhere close to a college campus, that the U.S. Department of Education is giving grants to certain colleges to give to students. Now, it depends on if a student is eligible, so there's a whole litany of things they would have to go through and if the college is even eligible, but it would be allowing for them to pay for their rent through this loan granted to them. So that's one way that they're trying to help kind of cover the cost. Another way that we have tried just outside of the rent space is allowing for that stimulus check that's up to $1,200 for individuals, $2,400 for families with an additional $500 for dependents that could be used on things like your mortgage. So Congress has tried to create different programs that might not necessarily be mortgage centric, but allow for people to cover those expenses that they need for renters and homeowners.
Okay, one more question. Is there a plan for? Wait a minute. Once you receive the PP loan, is there a plan for another stimulus check for individuals other than the ones that have been sent already?
That's a good question because, of course, they want to do more, but we aren't going to know until we get back and are able to see what the issues are that people are having. There is talk of another one. Again, there's a hesitation to just keep giving more money and giving more money because it comes back to bite you, so to speak. So I think they want to get back their look things over as to what has happened, where things have worked well, where things are not working so well, before they determine a next tranche of money.
All right, and I think we'll take one more. I know you have to go to your next appointment, Congresswoman. This is probably you and Kim. Once you receive the PPP loan, how do you go about getting it forgiven? What do you have to produce? What do you have to produce, and to whom to be forgiven if you're self-employed? If you're a self-employed realtor.
Because SBA has delegated authority for this, both the approval and the forgiveness are technically in the hands of the lender. So we found that lenders have varied on what documentation they want on the front end, and I have a feeling it's going to be the same on the back end. However, the interim final rules makes it the proof that you have to have as an independent contractor or Schedule C small business is fairly wide open. I had this discussion with someone yesterday, and it technically appears that you can use simply your draws, your bank account records to show the payroll costs down. And then for, let's say, your lease, utilities, et cetera, you just bring in a bill and proof of payment.
All right, great. Thank you, guys. I mean, you're welcome to stay as long as you want, but I know you have to drop off as well, so it's entirely up to y'all how long you want to stay with us. We so much appreciate you joining us today for the update. It's very helpful to us.
Well, and you're welcome to, of course, call my office anytime if there's any other issues that we can help you with. And Kim knows a lot of these answers as well. So we're here to help you. So call us if you need to.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, this is Kim. I didn't leave. I just put a question there. Does anybody have any more questions? I'd be happy to answer what I know.
What is Congress doing about making decision on how all this aid is being covered and what are the ramifications? I think that the person that can answer that has already left. Sorry about that. If you want to wait, Kim, so sometimes our folks come up with questions as we go along, so we'll start our round robin, and then if questions pop up, I think Mark Slotnick, we can go to you. I know you had some things you want to talk about.
Cool. Thank you. Just to quickly, I wanted to clarify some terms as to how closings are conducted. There's these acronyms that are floating around, RON and RIN. And I want to clarify with everybody, understand how a closing gets conducted on our end. RON has been floating around for a couple of years now. It's called Remote Online Notary. And that is something that's actually not permissible in West Virginia right now. We're one of about 7 or 8 states that have not passed any legislation to permit that. And remote online notary works through a specific system. You can't do it through Zoom. You have to do it through a specific system that allows it, in which they verify who will be, who's signing. And they have to go through a specific program that identifies that, yes, I'm who I am. Here's my ID. I've showed you the back and the front. It runs it through a scan and asks those kind of innocuous 5 questions that you might identify yourself. And then in turn, the notary, or myself being a closing attorney, may then be on the other end and will watch them sign. They will electronically sign and we will electronically notarize. So we all click a bunch of buttons like you do with your DocuSign, and then we generate a electronic document. The problem is right now, number one is RON has not been passed in West Virginia. And number 2, the clerks have to be willing to take an electronic document, which I do not believe most clerks will be willing to do at this point. There's some that will, but most won't. So that's RON. And it's a specific, you have to go through training. You have to be approved by the Secretary of State's office to do it. I've actually done all of it myself. But again, right now, the only thing that's approved in West Virginia on the RON side is to actually sit in the same room as the person signing and click the buttons together on the computer. That's all that's permitted. Now, what has come up out of the emergency orders is something that thankfully Fannie Mae came up with an acronym for. It's called RIN, because I didn't know what to call it. I called it a video notary, but it's called Remote Ink Signed Notary. And so what that means is that, similar as we're doing today, I might meet with a client on a video conferencing software. I do use Zoom for it. and I identify the client and I have sufficient identification. And then I watch them sign an original document with ink. And then they overnight the documents back to me. And then I then notarize those documents because I've seen them. So there's two pieces. There's an emergency order by the governor that was passed to remove the requirement for in-person notary. And the second part was rules that were created by the Secretary of State. And then the third piece of that, and I mentioned that last week, I believe, was that we had to get provisions by both the title insurance companies, how we could handle it, and then also the lenders needed to be on board. So Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac came up with the fact and approved the use of what we call RIN, because in the end, it just generates an original document. So in the end, nobody knows the difference whether it was signed in my office or was signed somewhere else. So that became very helpful. And I know I talked to many of the lenders. I had to go through a lot of conversation and say, it doesn't matter to you all. You're going to see the same document in the end, and you won't actually know how I did it. And then I just have to meet the requirements of the title insurer to insure the transaction. So that's what we're doing. Not a lot of, most people are coming to my office actually and still doing.
You charge $2 more for that one though.
I could charge a lot more. Now the other caveat to that, yeah, $2 more. I'll probably end up having to, they'll probably tell me, well, I didn't have to come to your office. I didn't need to use the space. So the other caveat to that is you cannot do that out of state. That's an in-state, person has to be in-state to do that.
The RIN?
I'm sorry?
The RIN, the RIN, it has to be in state?
It has to be in state. There is another method using what's called a commissioner of the state of West Virginia. And First American actually did come up with a provision to do that. I did sign up for that. It's very expensive to be able to do something out of state in this manner. But generally the rule is the person has to be in state. You cannot do it out of state. And it specifically states that in both the governor's emergency order as well as in the rules. So just be careful. So if your client is out of state, they technically can't do that. They're going to have to go find a notary unless the person's license is what we call it, State of West Virginia Commissioner. So we're still running. So everything's, not much has changed. I would assume, just to be frank with everybody and all the realtors on, that we will still request the realtors sort of stay away for another month from our closings so we can keep restricting down the number of people in there. I know some will not be happy with that, but I think it's been very, very helpful. And I'm very thankful to the realtor community, to the lending community that's on, that has helped us to make sure we reduce the number of people in our offices, because it's made closings quicker, gets people in and out. And all of our clients are very happy with how we're handling what we're doing. And I've heard good things from closing attorneys, everybody. So, and if anybody has any questions on that or anything else, I'm happy to answer.
Great, thank you, Mark. Jerry, I saw you answered that one question that they had. Do you have anything, since I let you do a little quickie in the beginning, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, not really. That was really all I had for this week. And I'm sure everyone has heard of the reopening plan the governor is talking about. But we have not yet decided when we're going to reopen our offices. Hopefully by next Wednesday, I'll know more.
That was a good segue, Brad.
If I get this unmuted here. Yeah, I don't have anything except I did print out the reopening plans, and I can summarize those if people want to hear them again.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay. It's, you've heard all over the news that it's, West Virginia's strong and there's a 6-week reopening period. And really, it's kind of looks to be kind of a sliding scale. First of all, week 1 officially starts tomorrow, I guess, and then week 2 starts Monday. So we start with a short first week, and then when we get to week 3, well, that's really what's going to happen in weeks 3 to 6, depending on how things go and what they think needs to happen. But week 1, we're going to go back to increased usage of hospitals and elective medical procedures. And I've got some friends in the healthcare business that are already seeing the signs of that. They were talking about that yesterday. Outpatient healthcare, the Chapter 30 boards and associations are going to be working with providers to develop appropriate criteria for primary care, dentistry, physical therapy, and occupational therapy, psychology, and mental health. And also during this week one, there's supposed to be a ramp up of testing of daycare staff. In week two, we're supposed to open small businesses with less than 10 employees. And let me note, I shouldn't have said it that way. It's not they're supposed to open, they can open. Nobody's required to go back to work at all with this. Professional services, which I know generates a lot of interest. I've heard a lot of my friends talking about when they can get back to the barber. But hair and nail salons, barber shops, and dog grooming. And one of the caveats there is those are supposed to be by appointment only, and you're supposed to wait outside in your vehicle instead of the waiting room inside, which would be pretty easy these days since everyone has a cell phone. Sit down dining at restaurants as long as it's outside. Churches and funerals, but you're supposed to limit the gathering size, although it's not specified, and using only every other pew, physical distancing, and face covering. And in big, bold underline, all with physical distancing, sanitizing, and face covering. During weeks 3 to 6, and they're going to be making announcements a week prior as to what will happen during what week. And again, this is all going to be a judgment call based on the way things are unfolding. But the week 3 to 6 entities are offices and government buildings, specialty retail stores, parks and restrooms and facilities at parks, gyms, fitness centers, recreational centers, dine-in restaurants, hotels, casinos, spas, and massage parlors, and any remaining small businesses. What they don't have any timeline for at this point is when nursing home visitation will resume, and or when we'll resume attendance at entertainment venues like movie theaters, sporting events, and concerts, or when gatherings larger than 25 people will be allowed. And during this whole period, from the get-go until it's all done, perhaps later, they might slow it down, stop it, or back it up if there's any unexpected increase in positive testing.
The number's what, 3% we have to stay below?
Yeah, that was 3% was 3 days in a row at 3% or less of testing was the target to start the 6-week reopening. Significant outbreaks of community-based transmission, and that would exclude clusters or outbreaks in nursing homes or other vulnerable communities. Then what you said as well, if the cumulative percentage of positive test results goes back up above 3%. So I'm glad we're moving somewhere, because I, for one, am getting tired of COVID-19. So,
I think everyone is a little bit. Do they have a priority for the barbershops? Because I got to tell you, Hauser's looking a little scruffy. I think we need to all take a vote and get him in there first, and let the rest of us sit back until he gets done. Dave, you have anything?
Just a general update. Number one on the remote online notarization that Mark's talking about, there is the Senate Bill 3533 that's out there. You will get calls to action from NAR. I would expect that you'd take advantage of that and pay attention. I don't know, Ray, if you push out those calls to actions across the state or not, but that is, something certainly is important that would help us long term. As far as the information we talked about on the forbearance numbers are up again another percent, so we're pushing 7%. Representative Miller did ask if Manchin and Senator Capito have received that information. We have sent that to them. I'll go ahead and forward that to Lauren at Miller's office too. I know who she is. So we'll continue to get that information forward, because the unintended consequence of all of this is that, as this continues to go on, unemployment's hit 26 million. As this continues to go on and forbearance numbers continue to climb, we're going to see that Ginny pool, the FHA, VA, USDA loans become harder and harder to get. The credit concerns, they're going to be the first segment of borrowers to fail because of the demographics around them. But those loans are going to become they're going to become harder to get. We've mentioned that in the past. And I think it's something we really do need to stand on and continue to push forward. So you'll see calls to action from NAR come out. And for any mortgage bankers that are on the line, you're going to see calls to action from the MBA or from Mortgage Action Alliance come out as well. I encourage you to take advantage of that. And I do push a lot of that out to you. But no, all in all, as I said last week, you're the front line. You're going to be this industry is going to be the saving grace of the economy. It's going to pull us out. Interest rates are low. Unemployment is down. I think we're probably seeing the worst of it. The economists are predicting May, June, we're going to see some return to employment. As Brad was just talking about, we're starting to see the recovery activity state to state taking place. So as that happens, the pent-up demand for real estate is going to drive us all forward. You're going to get a lot of calls, and I know you've been doing a great job out there in the field, finding new ways to show property, list property, and sell property. I can see it because I know what our numbers are doing, and it's proof in the pudding that you guys are doing a great job out there in the field. So continue to do that, and just know that as this continues to release and people like Brad get fed up with COVID, that folks are going to want to move on with their lives, and they're tired of looking at these four walls, and they've decided they need a couple more bedrooms, maybe a bigger yard, or they've been in an apartment. Those first-time home buyers, the millennial buyers, are still our biggest asset to move us down the line, and they're going to be looking for a home. They're not going to be wanting to be stuck in another virus situation in their 700 square foot apartment. So keep those folks in mind. Work your database, stay in touch with them, encourage them to buy or be interested in buying as we recover and as we heal and move forward, because we've got a great thing going here in the state of West Virginia. We've always been a conservative market to begin with. So we've got a lot of great things coming at us midsummer.
All right, we got another question. Can we all agree that the Mountaineers won the 2021 national championship if college football and basketball don't open back up? So I think we can for the most part. Mark, you really just had a question. So did you have anything you wanted to add? I'm sorry, I kind of counted you as speaking because you had that question early on. But
I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, you guys, agents, realtors, you guys are amazing. You guys, you're killing it right now, working your tails off in the most remote ways. You are the front line of actually going out there and doing it. And again, Mark Slotnick and the rest of the title attorneys, our hats go off to you guys. You guys are providing that final vital piece to the transaction that's keeping this thing going. And you could have easily have tucked tail and gone into the closet and closed your office, but you didn't, and you stayed out there. And forever, I think that the industry owes you guys a tremendous amount of gratitude for this period of time. So thank you to all the agents. To add to Dave's points just a little bit, so if you have a listing, and just keep in mind that all of the agencies, Fannie, Freddie, FHA, VA, USDA, are all allowing drive-by appraisals right now if your seller is uncomfortable with somebody coming into their house. So keep that in mind. In maybe 4 listings, if you have a listing that's sort of on the bubble of whether or not they want to make the decision to do it or not, just let them know that, hey, look, the appraiser doesn't have to come in. Now, the home inspection is a different matter, but the appraiser is going to be allowed per the agencies just to do a drive-by appraisal report. So GDP numbers came in a lot lower, obviously. We have a contraction of about 4.8% GDP from last quarter. Rates are going to go lower. So what the rates that the normal models would put together as far as what pricing is and what the retail rate of what the rates are is a little bit disconnected right now. But rates are going to remain low and probably go lower. That's I mean, over the next 3 months, we're going to be in a really low rate environment.
Then I just refinanced. Dang it. I should have waited a week.
Time to do it again.
Time to refinance again, no cost. I think that's, we'll go to Jeff, and then I'll finish it up with, so I told you guys I'd give you some numbers on CE so that I can share those with Jerry as well. So Jeff? Unmute. There you go.
Okay, well, I think Amy muted me. The a couple of questions before we end today. I don't know how many people you have online listening locally. People have inquired to me having some difficulty of knowing where to go to sign up for the CE. So if you would go over that again before we adjourn. And I guess, are you going to get into the convention at some point on this conversation, or are you going to do that later?
No, that was you.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Ray, for the opportunity. Well, it looks like that we are postponing the 2020 annual West Virginia Association of Realtors annual convention due to some variables with where we were having it and the timelines with our contracts with them, plus fundraising limitations at this point in time. So it looks like we're going to push back, and the plan is for Charleston to host the event in 2021. Just going to move everything back a year as far as our host goes.
That's our plan. There's a lot of reasons that we had to do that, and there's no reason to bore everybody with them, but it was a lot of different things. West Virginia Housing Development Fund wrap loans. Are they doing? That's a lot of our market, especially first-time home buyers. You guys know anything about that? Somebody from West Virginia Housing Fund asked to be on here today, but then when I sent them the link, they said they couldn't. So I don't know if you lenders can answer that.
Yeah, they're doing. They've restricted their loan program to just doing conventional mortgages with their wrap. So they'll use their conventional option and think that they can still do 97% with their wrap, but they stopped doing USDA, VA, and FHA until further notice.
I would add to that also, we're not alone there. I just got a memo that most of the bond programs across the country are just slowly coming to a halt. So that's pretty normal. It's not a West Virginia thing.
With desktop appraisals, we are told by a number of appraisers that it'll be likely that the lender will ask for a full appraisal at a later date. Is that something the lenders will expect to do?
No. No. If we close the loan, we're not going to ask for a full appraisal later on.
I wouldn't think you'd want one if you closed the loan.
Yeah, we don't have any recourse. I mean, we can't unclose it. So.
What about RPAC? We don't know yet. That's one of the things that we're trying to figure out through all of this. But it was, one of the main reasons that we had to do this, along with everything else, is all these new predictions of the potential fall resurgence. I mean, we theoretically, the way these things could work, could get out of this for 2 months, 3 months, and be right back in it again. And it's just, that's the problem with all this stuff. We don't know. We don't know when the end game is or what it is, and that's why we have to make what's the decisions that are in the best interest of frankly, the health and safety of our members at this point, and the general public more so than any other issues. Give you an update on the classes, and Jeff asked the question. You go to our website, and the front on the homepage there's a link, take you right to it. And you can sign up for the CE. We have, as of the start of this call, and I suspect the number has changed again, we had 463 folks sign up for one of the classes. 6 of the classes are closed now, so there's 6 still available. 6 are closed because of our 95 person cap. 10 out of our 16 boards have folks that are in the class. The Eastern Panhandle has the most at 36% of their of our registrations came from the Eastern Panhandle. Morgantown 15% second, Greenbrier Valley 12%, Potomac Highlands 7%. These are round numbers. 6% Kanawha Valley Board, Elkins 4%, Fairmont 4%, Parkersburg 3, Mercer 2, and Beckley 1. And I believe it was other, which are the folks, Jerry, that I think are licensees that aren't members of a board. They were hovering at about 7%. As well. We've had 5 boards: Weston, Wheeling, Weirton, Harrison, Huntington, and Fayette Nicholas with no registrations. Wheeling and Weston Buchanan are probably more explainable than the others because they've already had CE for the year. So the bulk of their members have probably already got their CE before all this started. That's Weston and Wheeling. Weirton hasn't. Harrison County may have had one. Huntington, I don't believe, has had any, and Fayette Nicholas hasn't had any. So I'm not sure what's going on in those boards, but I think we'll see some of those numbers come up. I only tell everybody on this call, sign up, because it's literally going fast. We had 200 signups in the first probably 5 hours that we were live, and so these things are going fast, and you need to. We've set it up in such a way. I've told you this before. You really don't. At least we don't think you want to sit in front of a screen for 7 hours. So we've made everything 3 hours each, so that you can do one day and one another day, instead of giving up a whole day to sit in front of a class. And we've got 6 days, or had, we don't anymore, but 6 days that you could do them on, and sign up for them. So while those are still going, please get on the website and sign up, because what we don't want, if we find that there's a few hundred people that still need it, then we will adjust, and we'll try to add some more classes to it. But what we're not going to do, and I don't think Jerry wants us to, is 2 days before before you have to renew, when we get somebody calling us and say, I haven't had a CE, what can you do for me? Well, we can't do anything for you at that point. And that's why we're trying to bulk up and get as many of these things going as possible, because you've got to get this in, you got to register. Now, if we have 200 or 300 people that need it, we'll absolutely keep plugging away and doing as much as we can. But if we just have 1 or 2 people that postponed and procrastinated, then there's really not much. You're just going to have to do traditional online CE that's available, because there's nothing we can do to help 1 or 2 people. But like I said,
we continue to get calls and emails about signing up and how to do that. We are telling people to go to the website and not call you, because from what we talked about before, there is a link to sign up, correct?
Correct. And if you want to put it on your Facebook page, I can send it to you. And if you don't want to, that's okay too.
That'd be great. Go ahead and do that.
Okay. All right, we'll forward that to you, because if you call our office, we're going to say exactly what I just said. Go to the website. And it's a very simple process. We tested it over and over and over again to make sure it works. You go, you sign up, you get a form, you fill it out, you pick your classes. It sends you an automatic email immediately upon you clicking done, that tells you that you're registered. And at that point, then you'll get you'll get all the other emails and confirmations and all that stuff. So it's a really simple process. It takes maybe a minute, honestly, to do it and get the email back that you're signed up. So it's not a hard process at all. And like I said, I mean, it's popular. We've got half of our classes are already full and closed, so we've only got 6 left, and we started with 12. So and we only went live Monday. So I mean, people need it, and we're out there doing it. But don't wait to the last minute, because these classes are filling up. I bet there could easily another class was almost full. There could easily be 2 more classes full by the time I get off here. That's how quickly things are filling up, and they're limited to 95 people per class. So when they're full, they're full. I had an agent who signed up for a class and then changed their mind. They want to know what to do to unregister for the class. Well, just email me that name and we can probably fix that, Tanya, but we're not giving them their money back. I signed up for the CE but have not received an email to say I'm enrolled. I'll check on that one, Chuck, because that should be automatic as soon as you register. Anything else anybody has to offer? Amy, you want to put up one of the things we're doing to help in this? You want to put up that picture? Just so you'll know, we're trying to raise some money for Realtor Relief Fund, because we think at some point it's going to be hit pretty hard. And so one of the things we're going to do is we're actually selling Realtor face masks, so that you can wear your Realtor logo and help the Realtor Relief Fund at the same time. There they are. That's what they're going to look like. Realtor R on one side and our logo on the other, blue and gold colors, because that's our colors of our association. And we're selling. I mean, they're not cheap. We're selling for $10 a mask, simply because we're trying to raise money and for the Realtor Relief Fund. So if you want to buy 1, 10, 20, how many ever you want to buy, because the Realtor Relief Fund is a 501c3, it's entirely, everything you buy is tax deductible. So just to let you know what they're going to look like, we should have those soon, and I will put it out there when we do. Someone said to check your spam. Apparently, some of the folks got their confirmation in their spam. So check your spam if you haven't got your confirmation, and we'll check on it on our end as well. Tanya, if you just let me know who wants to be canceled, and we'll take them out of there. Arthur, we haven't really met to consider anything yet about raising money for RPAC, but our RPAC committee is going to have to meet soon. We're still trying to decide the way things are going, if we're going to be able to have quarterly meetings in June in Huntington. And so we're probably going to have some online committee meetings in the meantime, just in case, because we can't stop doing business.
Ray, as you wrap up, is it possible, I don't know, again, how many people are on, possible to run the video at the end of this Zoom call if anybody wants to see it, if they haven't seen it?
Amy?
Yeah,
Amy,
I can pull it up. Give me a minute.
It was just very well done. You guys did a great job on that.
The video he's talking about, we just did a support video from our board out to our members, so they can see that we're, as everybody said, we're all in this together. That we'll just finish it with the video then, if nobody has anything else, and we'll leave it at that. So I'm just trying to tap dance for anybody who wants to see it while Amy gets it up and running, because it takes a minute, and then we'll finish with that. And unless in the chat or the Q&A will stay open, so if anybody has any questions, we'll answer them in text.
I do agree that we need to maybe have a little fundraiser to help David Hauser get someplace to get that haircut.
Maybe some black market or underground people cutting hair right now.
Absolutely, he's looking a little shaggy.
I had to cut my eyebrows the other day because they were down in touching my cheek.
You just comb them over.
No, I'm trying to comb them back.
I'm just jealous to have a hair like that.
Dave, the dog groomers are still working, I think, though.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to hang on to it.
As I predicted, we're down to 5 classes open now. We did just shut another one down, so maybe some folks jumped online real quick and registered while we're doing it. So we've got 5 classes still open out of 12.
Hey, Ray, I'm ready. It might be a little slow, but we have it. I want to add too, to encourage everybody to sign up for those classes, and also anybody that's on the video or watching later, everything is posted on our Facebook page. So if you get to a place where you're not sure where to look for something, go there. That's always going to be the first place that has sort of the house for everything, I think.
And including these, we record each one of these sessions and put those up as well.
Hang in there.
The online classes are for educational requirements for renewal starting May 1st. Yes.
A little over 100 years ago, in 1918, our nation faced the worst pandemic in its young and colorful history. During that same time, a group of real estate agents in West Virginia got together and chartered the West Virginia Association of Realtors.
I'm Ray Joseph, CEO of the West Virginia Association of Realtors. A little over 100 years ago, we were there for our members. Today, through this current pandemic, we're still here, looking to our members and helping them with their needs. And when this is all over, like always, we're still going to be here, together, as one Realtor family. Stay safe, everyone.
My name is Jeff Maddox, and I am the 2020 President of the West Virginia Association of Realtors. My message to you is have faith. Everything is going to be all right. God grant us the serenity to accept the things we can't change, the courage to change those things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Hi, Realtor family. It's Amy White, WVAR President-elect. Just want to tell you I miss you. I want to let you know that we're doing our best to make things easier for you and find ways to do things safely, and we are here for you until the bitter end. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Hi, I'm Nancy Williams from the Eastern Panhandle. West Virginia's greatest assets are West Virginians. We'll get through this, and I'll see you all real soon.
Hey guys, it's Elisa Jackson from Morgantown Board of Realtors. I just want to say, hang in there. We got this. This is Angela Mayfield with the Kanawha Valley Board of Realtors, and together we're stronger.
Hi, I'm Barbara Belcher with the West Virginia Association of Realtors. I'm the immediate past president, and I'm just here to let everyone know that you all be safe out there, be smart, do your social distancing, and be with family and friends as much as you possibly can.
Dawn Dodson, Eastern Panhandle Board of Realtors. Hope you're working on your database while you have a little bit of downtime. Stay safe, smile, and we'll all be back to work soon. Take care.
Hi, Andrew Winnow here, State Director from Kanawha Valley Board of Realtors. Reminding you that we are all in this together as a team. We need to look to the future, stay strong, but above all else, stay safe.
Dee Kennan with the Wheeling Board of Realtors. My prayer for us all is to be encouragers to those around us. This comes as no surprise to our Heavenly Father. I ask that we each stay close to Him as He guides us safely through this. See you soon.
This is Patrick Lucas with the Huntington Board of Realtors and your 2020 WVAR Treasurer, here to encourage you to keep your chin up. This too shall pass. It won't be long before we'll be back out doing what we do, and life will be back to normal as soon as possible. So hang in there.
Danya Gamache with the Eastern Panhandle Board of Realtors. I hope everyone's staying safe, hanging in there, and trucking away. We still have houses to sell safely. Check on a neighbor or a colleague. The power of one.
Good morning from W's Kitchen. I just wanted to tell everybody this is going to be okay. We are going to get through this, and I'm headed out to show houses again today. Listed 2 houses yesterday. We got this, guys, and it's not going to be, we're going to get through it. It's going to be fantastic at the end. Have a blessed day. Bye.
Jessica Lipscomb here from the Morgantown Board of Realtors. And hey, am I the only one wondering if this whole global pandemic is actually Carol Baskin's fault? When times get tough, humor and positivity help us get through it, and we will get through this.
This is Jill Allman, President of Greenbrier Valley Board, and we're very fortunate that the state considers real estate essential, so hope everyone is practicing all the safe measures that NAR, the state, and your local boards put out while listing and showing properties.
Hello, my fellow essential realtor friends. Kelly Sabonia from the Huntington Board of Realtors. Wishing you all to be safe, and we'll be getting back to work here shortly at full steam ahead. We see light at the end of the tunnel. Stay safe, and as you can see, I got my mask on. Love you guys, mean it.
Hello, Realtor members. Mark Mansour, Huntington Board of Realtors. Stay safe, and if anyone knows, if anyone's cutting hair underground, I will travel for a haircut. We'll see you soon. Thanks.
Hey everyone, this is Liz from Greenbrier Valley Board of Realtors. You guys are awesome. Stay safe, stay the course, and pay it forward when you can. See you soon.
This is Lori Wilson with the Huntington Board of Realtors. We care about you and the community that we share together.
Hi everyone, Ryan Petrucci from the Morgantown Board. I hope everybody's safe and healthy. Remember, we're all in this together, and we're going to come out stronger and better than before, so stay safe and see you soon.
Hey there, this is Michelle Hughes with Potomac Highlands Board of Realtors. We're still hanging in and doing what we can, and we're here if you need us.
Hey everybody, this is Missy Booger with the Eastern Panhandle. I just wanted to say, always remember there's better days ahead of us, and they're on their way. Stay positive and healthy, and always keep that smile on your face. Take care.
Hi everyone, your friend Paige Powers here from Beckley Board of Realtors. Just wanted to reach out to everyone during these troubling times and remind you that you're in one of the most beautiful states in all of the United States. Get outside, enjoy the sunshine and spring in bloom. Stay safe everyone.
Hey, it's Paul Ashmore at the Wheeling Board of Realtors. Stay positive and keep grinding.
Hi, Sally Greathouse from the Weirton Board of Realtors. This too shall pass.
Hi everyone, it's Debbie Stevens from Elkins Randolph Board of Realtors. We're on this together. your head up, and we'll see you around. Hopefully, the closing table.
Hey everybody, hope everybody's doing well. Hope you're staying home like you're supposed to. Hopefully we'll be out of this thing within the next few weeks and we can get back together again and have some more fun.
Susan Lawrence, Harrison County Association of Realtors. This will not last forever. Stay strong.
Hi, Pat Dawes here, Mercer-Tazewell County Board of Realtors. I'm headed out to show a house on this bright sunny day. Just wanted to let you know that we're all in this together and we will get through it. Stay safe, stay home, and be calm.
Debbie Tanner, Parkersburg Board of Realtors. Though we're apart, we're close at heart. Stay safe, West Virginia.
Hey, it's Jenny Crone. Even though we're all staying physically apart from each other, including myself and Josh McGrath, but
from the Eastern Panhandle to the Kanawha Valley Board of Realtors, West Virginia Realtors are stronger together.
All right, guys, that's it. If anybody has an anatomically correct skull, my daughter needs it for a dental exam by Saturday, so let me know and I'll come and pick that up because they can't get them here from Amazon Prime until Saturday. So with that, we're done. Thanks again for everybody attending and sticking around. And again, please let us know if there are people that you want to see, want to have on here with the folks that we have, or any issues you want us to talk about. So let me know. And with that, we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Ray.
Appreciate it.